Have you ever had the unsettling yet exhilarating feeling that the reality you've been living in is just a fraction of the truth? That just beneath the surface of your daily thoughts and struggles, there exists a current of immense power, a silent hum of infinite potential waiting for you to simply notice it? This is not your imagination. That feeling is a memory, a faint echo from the core of your being. And this message you are encountering right now is the amplifier designed to turn that whisper into a roar. Your soul has arranged this meeting, not by chance, but by divine appointment, because your consciousness has finally reached the precise vibrational pitch required to unlock the most profound truth of existence. The breakthrough you've been sensing isn't just coming, it is here. At the heart of this transformation are two words. These aren't just any words. They are the master key to creation, a vibrational signature so potent that ancient mystics and sages called the state that they unlock the God state. When you move beyond merely speaking them and begin to feel them resonate in the very marrow of your bones, you transition from being a limited human seeking a distant God to becoming the living embodiment of divine consciousness in a human vessel. Those two words are, I am. Right now, as you read this, understand that this is far more than a spiritual lesson or a philosophical idea. This is where the bleeding edge of quantum mechanics, the science of possibility, collides with the most ancient spiritual wisdom. It's the grand unification, the point where scientists and mystics, speaking different languages, finally realize they have been describing the same fundamental reality all along. I am is not an affirmation you repeat to trick your mind. It is the authentic, unchangeable, quantum signature of source consciousness itself. Whether you call that source God, the universe, infinite intelligence, or simply reality, I am, is the frequency at which that source experiences its own existence through you. Do you feel that? That subtle shift, that spark of inner knowing? That is the sound of your own consciousness recognizing the echo of its divine origin. This is a homecoming. Hold on to that feeling, for it is the thread that will guide you back to who you truly are. If you feel it, declare it in the comments below. I am ready to remember. This is more than a comment. It is a sacred decree, a signal sent from your conscious mind to the deepest levels of your soul that you are ready to let go of the illusion and embrace the magnificent truth. Let's dive deeper into this quantum spiritual intersection, because understanding it is the first step to consciously wielding its power. For centuries, spirituality was the realm of faith, while science was the realm of proof. They seemed to exist in separate universes, but now we live in a time where the wall between them is dissolving into mist. Quantum physics, in its quest to understand the fundamental nature of reality, has stumbled upon a truth that mystics have known for millennia. The universe is not made of solid, separate things, but of interconnected fields of energy and information, a vast ocean of potentiality. At the subatomic level, particles don't exist in a definite state until they are observed. This is the famous observer effect. The very act of consciousness looking at a potential reality is what collapses the wave of infinite possibilities into a single, tangible experience. Think about that for a moment. Consciousness is not a passive bystander watching the world go by. It is an active participant in the creation of reality. Now, Connect this to the two most powerful words in existence, I am. When you declare, I am, you're not just making a statement. You are the observer. You are the consciousness that is choosing which reality to collapse from the quantum field. You are, in that moment, directing the unmanifested energy of the universe to take a specific form. When you follow I am with tired, unlucky, or not good enough, you are literally using the force of creation to command a reality of fatigue, misfortune, and inadequacy into existence. Your declaration acts as a vibrational instruction, and the quantum field, which is neutral and infinitely accommodating, simply obeys. It doesn't judge. It doesn't question. It reflects back to you the truth you have declared about yourself. This isn't positive thinking. This is quantum mechanics in action. Your deeply held beliefs and feelings about who you are act as the energetic blueprint from which your life is constructed, moment by moment. This is why that feeling of recognition is so critical. That inner spark you feel is your soul remembering its own creative power. It's the dormant artisan within you waking up and realizing it. It's been holding the master paintbrush all along, perhaps just using it to paint shades of gray out of habit. The universe has been patiently waiting for you to remember that you are not just a character in the story, you are its co-author. This invitation, this message, is a cosmic alarm clock, gently nudging you awake from the dream of limitation. It's a call to become conscious of your power, to stop creating your reality by default and start creating it by design. The first, most crucial step is to become a guardian of your I am. Treat those words with the reverence they deserve. Notice how many times a day you unconsciously use them to define yourself in a limiting way. Every time you catch yourself, you have a moment of power. You can gently pause, take a breath, and leave the statement unfinished. Just rest in the pure, unqualified state of I am. In that stillness, that pure presence, you are aligned with the infinite potential of the quantum field. You are back in your natural state, the God state. This isn't about becoming something you are not. It's about ceasing to be everything you've mistakenly believed yourself to be. Are you ready to take back the paintbrush? This profound truth of I am is not a fringe idea or a modern invention. It is the golden thread woven through the tapestry of every great spiritual and mystical tradition on earth. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It is the hidden bedrock upon which all their teachings were built, a truth often veiled in parable and metaphor, waiting for those with ears to hear. Let's journey back in time and see how this universal echo has reverberated through the ages. Consider the story of Moses at the burning bush, a cornerstone of the Abrahamic faiths. When Moses, a man filled with self-doubt and fear, stands before this divine phenomenon, he asks the most fundamental question one can ask of God. Who are you? What is your name? The response he receives is the most direct and mystifying answer in all of Scripture. The voice from the fire does not give a name like Yahweh or Jehovah. Those came later as human interpretations. The direct answer, the pure transmission, was Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, which translates to I am that I am. This was not a definition. It was a declaration of being. It was not a noun, but a verb. God was not a separate entity with a name. God was the very state of existence itself. It was the consciousness of pure being, recognizing itself in the bush, on the holy ground, and most importantly, within the awareness of Moses himself, who was hearing it. The message was revolutionary. The divine is not an external king to be worshipped, but an internal presence to be realized. Now, let's walk the dusty roads of Galilee with Jesus. So many of his most powerful and controversial statements were declarations of I am. When he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, or I am the light of the world, he was not speaking from the ego of Jesus of Nazareth, the carpenter's son. He was speaking from the Christ consciousness within, the universal I am presence. His most radical statement, the one that scandalized the authorities, was, I and the Father are one. He was collapsing the illusion of separation. He was not claiming to be the only Son of God, but was demonstrating that the consciousness of the Malwa Father, Source, and the consciousness of the Malwa Son, the individual expression, were one and the same. He was a living embodiment of the God state, and he didn't present this as an exclusive miracle. He followed it with an incredible promise. Greater works than these shall you do. Why? Not because you will become a special, elevated being like him, but because you will finally realize the same truth he did, that the creative, world-bending, I am consciousness is your own true nature. Travel eastward and sit under the Bodhi tree with Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. The core of his teaching was not about worshiping a deity, but about awakening. The term Buddha itself means the awakened one. He taught that within every sentient being lies a Buddha nature, the inherent capacity for enlightenment. This is not something you acquire or achieve through hard work. It is something you uncover. It is the diamond of pure awareness that has always been there, simply covered by the mud of the ego, of false identification with thoughts and feelings. The entire path of mindfulness and meditation he laid out is a process of subtraction, not addition. It is about gently letting go of who you think you are, your stories, your pains, your desires, until all that is left is the silent, observing awareness. And what is that pure awareness, if not the state of I am? It is consciousness, awake to itself. Finally, let us look to the ancient wisdom of the Vedic sages of India. In the Upanishads, among the oldest spiritual texts in the world, this truth is stated with breathtaking clarity in the Sanskrit mantra, Tat Tvam Asi. This translates to, Thou art that, or more simply, you are that. That refers to Brahman, the ultimate, formless reality, the source of all existence. The mantra is a direct statement to the seeker. You're not a tiny, separate wave struggling to get back to the ocean. You are the ocean, temporarily experiencing itself as a wave. The illusion of separation is the only barrier. The moment you realize, not just intellectually, but in your heart, that the consciousness looking out through your eyes is the very same consciousness that animates the entire cosmos, you have entered the God state. This isn't a New Age platitude. It is the unanimous verdict of the world's most profound spiritual masters. The names and the stories change, but the central truth remains unshakable. The seeker is the sought. If this profound oneness resonates with you, make it a living reality in your own energy field right now. Go to the comments and declare, I am one with the source. Feel the vibrational shift as you type it. Let it be a conscious command, dissolving the old, false paradigm of separation and reclaiming your birthright as the creative intelligence that flows through all things. The most beautiful part of this awakening is the realization that you are not starting from scratch. You have already tasted this state. The God state is not a distant, foreign land you must journey to. It is your homeland, a place you have visited many times, even if you didn't know its name. These visits were likely fleeting, spontaneous, and unbidden, but they left an indelible mark on your soul. They were moments when the veil of the ordinary thinned and the radiant truth of reality shone through. Let's explore these sacred breadcrumbs your soul has left for you, for recognizing them is key to making access to this state conscious and permanent. First, think of those profound, unexplainable moments of deep presence. You might have been doing something utterly mundane, washing the dishes, walking in the park, stirring your morning coffee, or simply staring out the window. Suddenly, without warning, a sense of profound peace and holiness descended upon you. It wasn't an emotional high. It was a deep, silent, and sacred stillness. The world around you didn't change, but your perception of it transformed entirely. The spoon in your hand felt holy. The sunlight streaming through the window seemed alive with divine intelligence. The distinction between the sacred and the profane dissolved. In those moments, you weren't thinking about God. You were experiencing the world through the eyes of God. Your consciousness had spontaneously shifted into the God state, seeing reality from its true frequency, where every particle is a manifestation of divine consciousness expressing itself. If you've ever felt this sacred presence in the ordinary, click the like button. This isn't just a social media gesture, it's a quantum event. By consciously acknowledging that experience, you amplify its frequency within your energy field, telling the universe, I recognize this truth, and I am open to more of it. Next, consider those instances of knowing that came from nowhere. You've had these moments. You're faced with a complex problem, and suddenly, the complete solution downloads into your mind. Or you're about to meet someone for the first time, and you just know something essential about them. It's not a guess, and it's not a deduction based on logic or memory. It is a pure, unshakable knowing that simply appears. This was not a psychic trick. This was your consciousness momentarily accessing the omniscient aspect of the God state. When you are rooted in the I am, you are no longer limited to the data provided by your five senses or the stored information in your brain. You are directly plugged into the quantum information field, what mystics call the mind of God, and what physicists like David Bohm called the implicate order. It is the unified field where all information, past, present, and future potential, exists simultaneously. That sudden insight wasn't your mind being clever. It was a transmission from the infinite intelligence that you are. Then there were the experiences of complete unity, where the boundaries of self dissolved. Perhaps it happened while looking into the eyes of a loved one, and for a split second, you felt no separation, only a shared consciousness. Or maybe you were in nature, surrounded by ancient trees, and the feeling of being a separate observer vanished. You were the trees, the earth, the sky. The sense of me expanded to include everything. These were not flights of fancy or poetic metaphors. These were moments of perceiving reality with absolute accuracy. In the God state, there is no other. There is only one consciousness, one I am, experiencing itself through billions of unique points of view simultaneously. You were given a glimpse behind the curtain of the grand illusion of separation, seeing clearly that there is only one of us here, beautifully disguised as many. Finally, reflect on those unstoppable surges of creative power. You felt this. An idea for a project, a business, or a piece of art floods your mind with such intensity you can't write it down fast enough. Solutions, melodies, or words flow through you with an ease that feels almost alien. It doesn't feel like you're doing the creating. It feels like you're simply a conduit, a channel for something far greater. This is precisely what happens when you align with the God state. You become an open vessel for the same boundless, creative impulse that orchestrated the galaxies and wrote the code of DNA. In the beginning, God did not struggle or strive. The divine consciousness simply stated, "Let there be light," and there was light. Creation, from this state, is not an act of effort, but an act of being. When you tap into the God state, you create from a place of inspired flow and clear intention, rather than from a place of lack and struggle. These glimpses were not accidents. They were divine signposts, reminding you of your true capabilities and your true home. Now, we arrive at a truth that may be difficult to accept at first, but is utterly transformative once embraced. Every single ounce of your pain, every challenge, every heartbreak, and every moment of despair has been a crucial and necessary part of your divine preparation. Your suffering was not a cosmic punishment or a sign of your failure. It was a sacred fire, intentionally designed to burn away everything that was not your true self, making you a vessel strong enough to hold the infinite frequency of the God state. Let's be very practical about this. The God state is characterized by qualities we call omnipresence, being everywhere, omniscience, knowing everything, and omnipotence, having all power. Now, imagine pouring even a tiny fraction of that consciousness into the average human ego without proper preparation. The ego, with its rigid identity, its fears, and its attachments, would shatter. To embody omnipresence, your fixed sense of being this one person, endorse this one body, must dissolve. To welcome omniscience, your mind's reliance on its own limited knowledge and sensory input must give way to a deeper trust in universal intelligence. And for true omnipotence to flow through you, your personal sense of needing to control and exert effort must melt away, because real power is not wielded by the small self. It emerges when the small self gets out of the way. Your life's challenges have been the perfect, custom-designed training ground for this grand surrender. Every relationship that ended in heartbreak taught you to stop defining your worth through another person, forcing you to find the source of love within your own I am. Every job you lost or career that failed stripped away your identification with a title or an achievement, teaching you that you are not what you do. Every financial struggle was a lesson in detaching from material security, pointing you toward the infinite abundance of Source. Each time your identity was broken, it created a crack for the light of your true, formless consciousness to shine through. You were being taught, lesson by painful lesson, that you are not any of those limited things. You are the awareness in which all of those identities, roles, and experiences come and go. This is a process known in ancient shamanic traditions as ego death. Before a shaman can access the spirit world and its healing wisdom, they must undergo a ritual or ordeal that simulates the death of their personal self. They must let go of every attachment to their name, their family, their past, their fears, so that a wider, more universal consciousness can be born within them. Your challenges, your dark nights of the soul, have served as your personal, modern-day shamanic initiation. You are not breaking down. You are being broken open. If you can look back on your journey, even at the darkest moments, and see how they ultimately led to your growth, your resilience, and your wisdom, then press the like button to honor that sacred process. This is not just a click. It is an act of profound gratitude. It transmutes the energy of your past from a story of victimhood into a saga of divine and necessary activation. You were not just shedding tears. You were shedding illusions. You were being reconfigured, cell by cell, to be able to hold this divine frequency without burning out. Think of the great spiritual figures. Buddha left his palace and endured extreme asceticism. Jesus was tested in the wilderness for 40 days. Mystics throughout history have faced immense trials and periods of profound darkness before their enlightenment. They were not being punished. They were being purified. The limited self was being lovingly, though often painfully, dismantled so that the divine I am could finally recognize itself. The severity of your trials is often a direct indicator of the magnitude of the purpose that is waiting to emerge through you. A small change requires a small breakdown, but to birth the God state within your conscious awareness requires the complete surrender of everything you believe to be true about yourself. Your journey has not been a mistake. It has been your divine preparation. If this message validates the sanctity of your own path, go to the comments and share this powerful recognition with the universe. My journey is my divine preparation. Let this be a moment of deep self-compassion. As you write these words, you are honoring every scar, not as a mark of damage, but as a sacred inscription from the holy fire that has forged you into a vessel capable of holding God. As the vessel is prepared, it is time to understand the nature of the divine substance it is meant to hold. This brings us to the most practical and world-altering secret of the I Am presence. It is a recognition so simple, yet so profound, that it can change the entire fabric of your reality from this moment forward. The secret is this: when the thought or the words, I am, arise in your consciousness, it is not you, the person, the name, the history, who is speaking. In that sacred instant, you are hearing God declare its own existence. The consciousness that is aware of being does not belong to you. You are a temporary expression belonging to it. You are not a human being who has consciousness. You are consciousness that is temporarily having a human experience. Let this sink in. The very awareness that is reading these words right now is the one and only awareness that exists. For this brief moment in eternity, it is focusing itself through the lens of your body and your mind. The brilliant quantum physicist David Bohm, a protege of Einstein, proposed that reality has two orders: the explicate order, which is the visible world of separate objects and people that we perceive, and the implicate order, which is the deeper, unseen, and undivided field of wholeness from which everything emerges. Mystics have known this for eons. On the surface, the explicate order, You and I appear to be separate, but at the deeper level, the implicate order, there is only one consciousness, one I am, appearing as everything. Accessing the God state is simply the act of shifting your identification from the explicate to the implicate, from the wave to the ocean. And here is where it becomes incredibly powerful and carries an immense responsibility. If the voice of I am is indeed the voice of God speaking through you, then every word you attach to it is a creative command given to the universe. You are, quite literally, programming God's consciousness with the limitations of your own beliefs. When you say, I am weak, the infinite power of the universe dutifully configures itself to experience weakness through your body. When you declare, I am sick, the inherent, perfect blueprint of your cellular structure is commanded to manifest the appearance of sickness. When you whisper to yourself, I am unworthy, you are instructing divine perfection to experience itself as flawed and inadequate. You are placing a filter of limitation over the lens of God. But the reverse is also gloriously true. The key to unlocking the God state is not to add more positive affirmations on top of your negative beliefs. The key is subtraction. It is to simply stop after the first two words, to rest in the pure, unconditioned state of I am, period. Just be with that feeling of pure presence without adding any label or definition to it. In that moment of pure, unqualified being, you are in the God state. You are limitless, formless, and open to all possibilities. From that state of pure potential, you can then consciously choose which quality you wish to bring into your experience. I am becomes the launch pad, and the words that follow become the destination. This is why the ancient sages caution to be impeccably careful with your word, especially when using the divine name, I am. You are not just talking to yourself, you are issuing a divine decree. If you are ready to reclaim this sacred power and use it with wisdom and love, make this your solemn vow. Go to the comments and write, I speak my divine truth. Let this be an anchor in your new awareness, a promise to yourself and to the universe that from this day forward, you will use the power of I am to bless, to create, and to build, never again to limit or diminish. Remember, when you speak, it is the voice of God you are using. Let your words be worthy of their source. As you begin to consciously live from this place of I am, your reality will begin to provide clear, undeniable feedback. The universe will send you signs confirming that you are shifting from the old paradigm of limitation into the new reality of the God state. These are not mystical portents you have to search for. They will become so obvious you can no longer ignore them. You are now entering the final period of integration where the preparation phase is complete and the door to your true nature is swinging wide open. The first and most prominent sign is that your reality is becoming increasingly responsive to your inner state. The time lag between your thoughts and feelings and their manifestation in your life is shrinking dramatically. You think of a friend you haven't seen in years, and they call you that very day. You have a deep feeling of abundance, and an unexpected check arrives in the mail. This is because your consciousness is nearing the frequency of the God state, where thought and form are not separate events, but a single, unified phenomenon. In the biblical narrative, God does not work to create. God simply speaks, let there be, and it is. As you remember your divine nature, the universe begins to respond to your intentions with the same immediacy. If you've been noticing this acceleration in your own life, acknowledge it by clicking the like button. This act reinforces your energetic connection to the God state, consciously participating in this quickening frequency and strengthening the bond between your intention and its physical realization. A second sign is the increasing frequency of omniscience moments. These are those flashes of pure knowing we discussed earlier, but now they are becoming more common and reliable. You just know the right thing to say in a difficult conversation. You intuitively know which path to take when faced with a decision. You can feel what someone is going to say before they say it. This is the omniscient aspect of the God state becoming a more stable part of your awareness. You are learning to source your information directly from the unified field, rather than relying solely on the limited processing power of your logical brain. You are remembering how to access the universal database. The third, and perhaps most liberating, sign is the dissolution of fear. This isn't just about everyday anxieties fading away. It's the deeper existential fears that begin to lose their grip. The fear of death, the fear of being alone, the fear of non-existence. Fear can only exist when you identify with something you believe you can lose. When you begin to truly know yourself, not as the temporary body or personality, but as the eternal I am consciousness, what is there to fear? The body may change and pass away, but the I am that is aware through the body is timeless and indestructible. You realize you have never been separate from your source, so the terror of loneliness becomes an impossibility. The fourth sign is the emergence of spontaneous healing. Chronic physical pains may begin to fade. Deep-seated emotional wounds and old traumas may surface and release without you consciously working on them. Destructive habits may simply fall away as they no longer resonate with your new frequency. Jesus healed not by manipulating physical matter, but by seeing only the perfect, whole, I am consciousness within the person, even when it was appearing as sickness or disability. As you learn to hold this vision for yourself, your physical and emotional bodies naturally realign with their original divine blueprint of perfection. You heal by remembering the wholeness that was never truly lost. Finally, the fifth sign is that other people begin to notice something different about you. They may not be able to put their finger on it, but they are drawn to your presence. They feel a sense of calm and peace when they are around you. They find themselves feeling more clear and inspired after speaking with you. This is the God state radiating through you and touching everyone you encounter. You become a walking, talking transmission of peace, a healing force in the world simply by being. Your presence becomes your greatest service. But of all the signs, the most important one is the one you are experiencing right now. The fact that you are still here, absorbing these words, feeling their resonance in your soul, is the ultimate confirmation. Your whole life has been a journey leading to this exact moment of remembrance. The window for this full activation is open now. The only question left is, will you walk through the door? The time is now. If you feel this calling in the deepest part of your being, answer it. Go to the comments and declare your choice loud and clear. I accept my awakening now. Let this not be a passive hope, but an active, conscious decision. Your act of typing these words is your foot stepping over the threshold. You are notifying your soul and the entire cosmos that you are ready. We have arrived at the key that turns this profound realization into a living, breathing reality. The secret to accessing and stabilizing the God state is not found in complex rituals, years of arduous practice, or the attainment of some special spiritual power. The paradox is that you cannot achieve the God state because it is what you already are. The only way to access it is to remember what you have always been. The mistake that almost every spiritual seeker makes is that they are trying to get somewhere. They meditate to reach God. They chant to connect with the divine. But the very act of trying reinforces the illusion of separation. It's like a wave in the ocean performing elaborate swimming exercises to try and reach the ocean, not realizing it is, and always has been, nothing but the ocean itself. So, what is the practice? It is elegantly simple. Every time you find yourself still and present, you're in the God state. Every time you simply notice the feeling of being, the silent awareness of I am, before you attach any story or limitation to it, you are home. That's it. That is the entire gateway. The great 20th century sage Ramana Maharshi taught a practice called self-inquiry, which is perhaps the most direct path of all. He instructed his followers to continuously ask the question, who am I? And to trace their awareness back to its source. When the thought, I am this body, arises, you recognize that you are the awareness of the body, not the body itself. When the thought, I am this emotion, appears, you see that you are the silent space in which the emotion is occurring, not the emotion itself. You continue this process of gentle negation until all that remains is the pure, unadorned sense of existence, the feeling of I am, no definition, no limit. That, he taught, is your true self. That is the God state. Now, I want you to anchor this truth in your reality. Go to the comments and write just these two words, I am. Not I am trying or I am hoping, just I am. This is not an act of becoming. It is a declaration of what has always been. In writing it, you are speaking the name of God, knowing that God is what you are. Feel the power in that simple statement as you type it. As soon as you feel that resonance, that quiet click of recognition, press the like button. Let that physical action be an anchor, a tangible link to this formless, divine awareness. You are energetically stamping your quantum field with this moment of remembrance. When you begin to live from this place, your entire life transforms. Instant manifestation becomes your new normal, not because you are manipulating reality, but because your desires and the will of the universe become one. The gap between intention and outcome dissolves. Omniscient knowing becomes readily accessible. You learn to trust the quiet wisdom that arises from within, guiding you perfectly. Unconditional love ceases to be a goal and becomes the very air you breathe. You look at another person, no matter who they are, and you recognize that the same I am that is looking through your eyes is also looking through theirs. How can you judge or hate another when you know with certainty that they are another version of yourself? Finally, the deepest secret of all, the one that ties everything together. You have never left the God state. Therefore, you cannot get back into it. You can only become aware that you are and have always been in it. The entire human experience is a beautiful, divine game. God is playing with itself, a cosmic game of hide and seek. God pretends to be you, a limited person, so convincingly that it forgets it is God, all for the exquisite joy of remembering again. Your final lesson is to stop pretending to be something you're not. Stop identifying with your thoughts. Be the awareness that watches them. Stop identifying with your problems. Be the consciousness that is moving through the experience. Each time you forget and get lost in the human drama, the practice is simply to remember. Gently, without judgment, you remind yourself, I remember. I am the consciousness experiencing this, not the limited person trapped in it. This simple, gentle remembering is the entire path. You are not alone in this awakening. This is a collective event, a great planetary shift, where the one consciousness is waking up to itself through billions of points of view. Your only job is to be a fully embodied expression of this I am truth, for your very presence will serve as a powerful reminder to everyone you meet. Share this message with those you feel are ready to receive it, for every heart that awakens to I am accelerates this beautiful transformation for us all. In our next meeting, we will explore the advanced techniques for remaining anchored in the God state amidst the chaos of daily life. But for now, complete your initiation, make the final declaration. Write these sacred words in the comments below. I am that I am. In doing so, you're not claiming to become something. You're stating what has always been, is now, and ever shall be true. You are speaking your own true name. Thank you for answering this call from your soul. May you walk in the profound peace and limitless power of who you truly are. I wish you radiant health, boundless joy, and the clarity of your own divine presence. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to continue this journey of remembrance. You are not just following a channel, you are setting a permanent energetic anchor in the frequency of your own truth.